Mac.
You Mac? Oh, thanks, Jubes.
Anyway.
Anyway.
I've been told to cue Mac.
Yeah, here we
People
go.
are sleeping on the job. I'm going to have to do bloody talent. I'm going to be producer.
I don't know what about you guys, but in my ears, I heard Q Jubes.
I heard Q Jubes as well. I was waiting for you to bring it in. Yeah?
Yeah.
You didn't hear it.
I mean, when I read my contract, I didn't see Q Jubes in there. I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
Yeah, just Q Jubes.
That's not how it works. That's not how the whole business side of things
No?
works here. Jubes, it's okay, but look, we can hook you up with a different job if you'd like. But
Nah, I pay people to do my business endeavors. That's why.
True. Oh, he's a mastermind. That's how you get people to do all your dirty work. Now, we do have a third match here on the DoorDash LCO to get into shortly. And, of course, it's going to be a banger. Direwolves and Legacy. Legacy, of course, played pretty well yesterday. They've got Sybil back in that lineup. Direwolves, of course, playing damn well recently again. Although, I think yesterday, with Direwolves at least in particular, there was sort of that issue where we did see them make a lot of mistakes. However, Shock managed to just be in the right place at the right time and just have a damn good game in mid. And it was more than enough to get them back on track. They admitted that one in the post game. But going up against Legacy, I'm sure things are going to go a little bit better for them. However, let's have a quick chat about Direwolves first. Of course, Jubes, you know him, you love him. And do you think Shock is the king of mid, or do we have another contender?
Yeah, at the moment, I think he's probably playing the best out of all the mid laners in the league, and I'm not even using that as a soundbite for his next week's series on Kappen or Gappen, but I'm sure that'll get on there somehow. But yeah, I think across the board, everyone on the Direwolves is just playing better. I mean, even Claire on the Camille is having a lot of success, and it seems like he's really found his home in terms of the champion pools or what he's comfortable playing. Only on the early aggressive game junglers, he's just having so much success, and putting Gunkrab on an 80 carry, who would have thought? Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, not me. I
No?
would not have thunk it at all. What about you, Jordan? Would you have thunk it?
I would not have thunk it. Not at all.
Gotta be careful
No.
when saying that.
Maybe we could make a
Why?
new like show instead of Kappen and Gappen. It can be Thunken and Duncan.
Duncan and Duncan?
Or
Juice can
Thunken
be the
and...
host.
Never mind.
Duncan and Flunken, like your Elo.
I don't know. What?
You've
You guys
used all-
could both host it.
No, the problem is Max used all the swear words, so I don't want to get fined.
I couldn't even think of a swear word that rhymed with that. You're on a different level to me. However, we have a second team to quickly talk about or thunk about as well. It is going to be Legacy. Jordan, tell me what works for Legacy, and is it going to work for them today?
Well, I mean, I feel like actually across the board there is a fair bit that you can look to for Legacy, right? I mean, there's been good stuff from Sybil. We've seen some real carry-esque performances from him. The same can be said for Incursio, though he seems to be a little bit more sink or swim than Sybil is in some cases. And even the bot lane, like we've talked a lot about the bot lane. Styled and ML having some solid performances here and there as well. And, you know, I think Winter up in the top lane is a little bit more of like a consistent force, whereas the rest... I mean, I look at almost Winterer, Styled, and ML as being like consistent forces for the roster, and Sybil and Incursio are kind of like the X factor.
Yeah.
You're either going to have this great game from those two, or you're just not going to get anything from them, or maybe it's going to go even further off the deep end, and you know they're going to do a bit of the Incursio. But when it works, like you said, Mac, some things work for them. When it works, it looks fantastic, and I really enjoy watching the Legacy games when things are going their way. So I think for me, you know, the key parts, the key factors for Legacy are getting Sybil and Incursio ahead, because those two, if they're ahead, they can really do some pretty magical things. But if they're behind, the game becomes a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, it seems, you know, last time they went head-to-head, we did see Sybil finally get to play that Elise. It's been a hot minute since then, and I wonder if we're going to see him go back in that direction, or if he's going to stay on the Jhin, because at the moment, he's just been so damn good, just finding those angles and getting back in, but then sometimes things just don't go as expected. So I just don't know, you know? I don't know what Sybil needs to do, but he needs to find what works for him, and he needs to find what works in the context of a competitive game. because yes, it looks good sometimes, but then other times it seems like there's just so many issues that plague this roster, and I hate it because I want to see Legacy succeed because they're a very entertaining team. However, we can have a quick chat with them. Well, maybe not me, Nat can, because it's not my job to do the talking. Sometimes it's Jube's job. Sometimes it is actually Nat's job. So, it's not actually time to talk to the players. But in one sense, it is, because we do get to hear how well they know each other on the team.
It's also a pretty hard one.
Is it? I disagree.
Is it though?
How do I feel
Really? I don't know, man.
I
I think you need to be a bit more self-aware.
I don't think I feel that bad.
Every time like style tilt, he starts like sweating really hard.
He just like starts sighing and stuff.
Yeah. Also very easy one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah,
I think everyone knows this
I
one.
think you know why.
Yeah, this guy watches like lewd animation stuff a lot.
Yeah, he might even be arrested for it in some countries.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
We're not joking. we're not joking. No one.
Yeah, we all just get depressed when we lose.
Yeah, but Sim at least tries.
Yeah,
He's
Sim-
tried like plenty of times.
It's also Chad.
Okay, fair.
He always like stays positive no matter what, even when we were like griefing.
We.
Yeah, us as a team when we grief.
We.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys were with me?
Yeah, because you've been late a couple of times and you slept in like twice.
One time I missed a scream because I fell asleep and alarm didn't work.
Like, if we schedule a scrim for like 6, you'll show up at like 6:15. Just be like, I just woke up.
Yeah. Straightforward.
I want to know the answer. Why do they always bloody do this? I want to see it now. But look, like me, you guys are probably just as angry, and you'll have to wait till after the game to see part 2. Now let's bring Nat back in to the conversation, because Nat, you've got two handsome individuals down on the sidelines.
Yeah, I do. I am going to be joined by Styled and Gungrab. Thank you both so much for joining me. Now, I'm going to state the obvious. Both of you guys have won one game each in the head-to-head. So I want to ask you first, Styled. Do you think it's important to win the head-to-head here, or is it just an overall important win for you guys?
I think overall it's just really important for us because we need to secure playoffs. We need to get as many wins as possible. There's like a lot of different variations of who can make playoffs, like from Peace, us, and Gravitas. But every game counts for every team, so.
Yeah, you're definitely right. So I do want to know, how has the prep and the scrims been coming into the match tonight?
Preparation's been fine. Scrims have been going completely fine. We're just looking to play our game as always, and looking to take the win, of course.
Yeah, I look forward to it. What do you think is going to be your key advantage to getting a game over the Dire Wolves tonight, though?
Obviously, the biggest, I think, strong point is probably the mid. So probably around that, of course. Everyone says Shock's probably the best mid in the league, and yeah.
Try and shut that one down for sure. But Gunkrab, over on the side of Dire Wolves, you guys have just secured your spot in the playoffs. So how are you all feeling coming into the game tonight?
Well, I think making playoffs is obviously a good thing, but with like the last 3 games that we have in the season, we're trying to secure at least a top 3, because I think top 1 is near impossible. It's kind of just between PGG and Order. So yeah, I think we've prepared quite well for and against Legacy. And honestly, if I just stop inting, which I have been inting for the last 2 weeks, then I think we have a pretty good shot.
what has been the main thing you personally have been working on? I guess not only just the trying not to int, but just performance overall.
Like me as an individual or a team?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you can answer both if you'd like, but definitely individually.
Well, I'd say just my laning phase is probably what I've been inting the most with, and so yeah, there are a lot of champions that I'm not as comfortable on, and I'm choosing to play, which I guess sounds really bad, but yeah, basically just my laning phase, and as a team, I guess mid to late game,
That
we're still
drafting?
struggling with some like calls and late game macro in general. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I look forward to seeing what you are both going to be bringing to the table tonight. Thank you both so much for joining me, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're all looking forward to it, just to see how this game goes, because both teams, well, one team needs the win more so than the other. Let's see if, Direwolves now making the playoffs, if that's going to change their mentality. Are they here to play to win, or are they here to play to just, keep some secrets, maybe save some strats before we do get into the playoffs, which they've now made. However, time to have a look at what we think is going to be happening today. Words are good. Predictions are also not my forte. I don't even know. I'm not really good at too many things here. But we've got Direwolves here for Jubes and Elfishka.
I think Direwolves is just the smart pick here across the board. Like Shock, just the way he's been playing. I think we were very harsh on him early on, but I think now he's arguably the best mid in the league, at least performance-based analysis. So I think it's just too hard to go past them. But if there's one team that can coin flip a mid lane, that is Legacy.
Okay, well, let's see how that mid lane matchup goes today. Jumping over to page number 2. Nat, you believe in Legacy, so
Here we
does
go.
Rusty.
I didn't think, obviously we don't get to see Rusty's predictions, but I genuinely thought I was going to be the only one today going for Legacy. I did kind of hint towards it earlier on the broadcast. But yeah, I do have a lot of faith in Legacy, like Juve said, that you can coin flip down mid. But also, obviously, like I say this in the nicest way possible, but Guncrab had a really shocking performance yesterday. And if the same sort of thing happens again...
nice.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean...
pretty solid.
Yeah, I can work on being nice. But, if it happens again today, I think Legacy have so much potential to capitalize that. Stacked with the fact that Incursio really steps up today, it can definitely go Legacy's way for sure.
It certainly could. Now, in the nicest way possible, I'd love to get to the game quickly, Phil. Why do I have to do any of these other things? Oh, don't worry, because I love to do them. And you know what? Exclamation DoorDash in chat. Get yourself some bloody dinner, because it's 8 PM. If you haven't eaten yet, well, your body's saying, I'm hungry. Feed me. Give me a burrito. Give me some fish and chips. Give me a bloody burger. I don't care. Just put something in me. That's exactly what your body's saying. And if you guys, of course, at home want to tell us exactly what your favorite food is, make sure you head on over to and tell us what the, I just completely spaced and forgot what the link is, so just give me a sec. It's lco.gg/favefood, and you can too let us know what your favorite food is, and then there can be some discounts on offer coming in the next couple of weeks. So make sure you go do that, let us know, and then I'll let you know when draft is ready, and that's right now. So see you after the game.
All right, mate. See you after the game. My favourite food is cheese. Are we going to get some cheese this game, Jubes? What do you reckon?
Was that a line that you wanted to say, or is that actually your favorite food?
I actually do like cheese. I wouldn't say it's necessarily my favourite, but it is a line I wanted to say.
Because you know what?
I feel like Legacy might be the team that could pull some out.
I actually went to a cheese tasting place on the weekend, and you know what I said to the waiter? I'm not even kidding.
Have you heard of the game League of Legends?
No, but
I used to be a professional player.
I did say that, and he plays another game, which I won't mention on broadcast. Anyway, moral of the story is, I said to him at the end of it, it ain't easy being cheesy. And he cackled, and he said he's never heard that before.
That's a good one.
And we're mates now.
That's an absolute banger. You know what? I couldn't have come up with anything better myself. Anyways, let's talk about the draft. Let's talk about Legacy and Direwolves. We very importantly, have the Bard ban through from
Yep.
Legacy. I was waiting to see whether or not we would get that one. It's 100% win rate still this season. It's the champion that actually has the highest amount of games at 100% win rate, which is 5, and I think a lot of that is thanks to Cupcake. Next closest behind that is Evelyn with 4. So not going to get that this time for Direwolves. It's a good ban away from them, I think. But there's still a fair bit left on the table here. I mean, I feel like, when you have to go for those target bans, you still often leave things up. Like Thresh, for example, was something we talked a lot about for Direwolves last. But I wonder if that's something they're going to pull out. Early pick for the Varus coming through for Legacy. It's something we've seen from Styled quite a lot. Not really too much of a surprise.
Varus just allows for a really safe laning phase, and it gives you the option to play through bot lane or play away from bot lane, right? Because you just play from range if need be, or you can have a lot of gank set up, right? With the with the chain of corruption. So I like the pick for Legacy in particular, and probably some of the best League of Legends we've seen from Styled and MLG has been on this pick. And MLG on like the hard engage hook type champions, but the one thing that I kind of wanted to see as a priority from Legacy was the Xin Zhao, because I really do feel like a lot of Sibyl's success really revolves around Xin Zhao. Now, I know yesterday he had a bit of a roughie, but they got level 1 invaded. It is what it is. You brush that one off, you go next. But they're opting for the mirror matchup, I guess, of what happened yesterday, picking the Trundle into the Xin Zhao, which is, a common matchup that we see nowadays. Trundle having a very good time in the 1v1.
I think it's a particularly pertinent point as well, given the fact that Xin has been one of Only's better champions this split as well. So not only do you get yourself onto the Xin, a good solid pick, you also take it away from Direwolves. But obviously not the case this time. They've opted for the Trundle, they've opted for the Leona, so it's going to be Leona and Varus down in the bottom lane. Already that gives a lot of information over to Direwolves as to what they're going to be going up against, and so they can look for some counter picks. But on the side of Legacy, I mean, they're also going to be quite happy in that they can counterpick the mid, they can counterpick the top lane. And I think for me, that's probably what Legacy wants to try and do more often than not anyway, right? They want to be looking for that last pick mid laner, something that we see from them on a fairly consistent basis. They're not going to get it here being on blue side, but even still, at least it gives them a good idea of what they're going to be going up against in that sort of mid-top side of the map.
Yeah, you're right. And the one lesson that I think Claire's taken away from his weeks of playing Camille is that you should ban the Crocodile. I think he even tweeted after one of their wins, he's not playing against Renekton no more. He said something about like Blade Lady into Croc. I'd have to dig that tweet up, but
I remember it.
Yeah. So they've taken Camille third here instead of earlier on, and they've locked in, but they've put Renekton on the bench as well as the Silas. So for me now, it's interesting. Like, what is Winter are going to play to counter this Camille? Is it just going to be a Jax answer like we've seen earlier tonight?
Certainly a possibility. Speaking of the Thresh, there it is for the Direwolves. Can't say that's a particularly surprising selection either, especially going into the Leona. It's definitely not the worst of matchups. I think after level 6, it starts to get a bit more difficult for the Thresh once the Solar Flare is online. But prior to that, it's almost impossible to do anything in that bot lane as a Leona if the flays are on point. Either way, what are the selections from Legacy? I think those are the really big talking points. We get Jace to go up into the top lane against Camille, which leaves a mid laner here for Legacy. They definitely are going to be needing some magic damage, so I mean, Katarina on the table.
Yeah.
Not sure that this team comp really sets up Katarina, to be fair, but an option.
I've quite literally never seen, and maybe he's played it once or twice in the LCO, but at least in recent memory, I've never seen Incursio play Zoe. So this is going to be a sight to behold. I mean, he really does surprise us in bunches, right? You know, there's times where we weren't really expecting him to have real pop-off performances on certain champions, and he goes ahead and does it. So, you know, I would have liked to have seen the Katarina, but...
Yeah, well, if I go back and look through some of the games that we've seen from him, not seeing any in Split 2 on the Zoe.
That's a Thresh and Xin Zhao lane, by the way. Thresh and Syndra lane, is it? And Xerath in the mid lane? Is that what it's looking like? I thought maybe it was Xerath in the AD carry position, but...
I think Syndra makes a bit more sense in the bot lane than the Xerath does in the ADC role.
Well, you get outranged as Syndra into Varus. That's the problem. Right. Whereas the Xerath outranges the Varus. So where Xerath fits into the meta is into Ziggs picks. When you see Ziggs bot lane, what people have been trying to do is play Xerath, because you can just outrange the Ziggs, at least pre-ultimate, right? And then even then, if you want to open up a fight and start with the Xerath ult, then you can just chunk out, if not one-shot someone. Like Xerath has some very good ratios. The only problem is like the lack of mobility, which you cover that with the Thresh and the Thresh Lantern, right?
So it's kind of the same concept almost as like the Aphelios, right? In terms of the Thresh coming in as the support for that lane.
Yeah, basically like exactly the same concept. However, you in theory outrange the lethality Varus. So if lethality Varus can't actually hit you, and you're just outranging, and you're opening up with an ultimate, and Varus is starting the fight on like half health, or whoever it is, even if it's the Zoe, then like you're in really good stead. Now, like I said to you, traditionally you only see the Xerath when they pick the Ziggs. Like that's kind of the mirror matchup that you play. But I guess the concept for Direwolves is the same, is that you're going to outrange the Varus. Well, that would be the hope.
Well, I'm very interested to see how this one plays out. It's a little bit of a curveball through from the Direwolves, and that is something that we always love to see. You know, you say a bit of a curveball from Direwolves, or I say that, I guess, but there is that Zoe pick in the mid lane as well for Incursio. So that's another one that we weren't too sure of. I know we've got a Legacy interview coming up, so we can definitely ask about that, you know, whether or not that's in the wheelhouse for him. You know, obviously it is. He's not picking it in the LCO if it's not, but it's not the kind of champion that we've seen from him so far in Split 2, and I went back and looked at Split 1 as well. He didn't play Zoe there either. So I think this is actually the first time that we're going to be seeing Incursio on the Zoe. It fits nicely into the team comp. I mean, you look at it, exactly what Legacy wants to do. It's pretty obvious. You've got a Jace, you've got a Zoe, you've got a Varus. They just want to spam abilities over walls at a distance, try to get damage down before the fight starts. But in a sense, you can almost get the same thing from Direwolves, right? Syndra and Xerath both are able to sort of chunk their opponents out before the fight starts. They have a little bit more going for themselves in terms of engage with the Xin, with the Camille, with the Thresh. I feel like Camille's going to be a big factor in this game. Player, if he can have a big game here, he's going to have a lot of angles, a lot of squishy targets to jump on top of. That is something that we'll hold off for the moment. We have an interview ready, and this time it is with Ceres from Legacy. And I mean, hot off the press, right? That's Champion Select. You've got Incursio on Zoe. So tell me, is this a pocket pick? Is this something that he's been practicing? Is this just out of the blue? How are you expecting this to go?
Yeah, all of the above, really. Maybe not out of the blue, but I think really it kind of is an Incursio champion if you substitute his champion pool for anything that has mechanical expression. That's really where he shines. So Zoe is obviously a champion that has a lot of mechanical expression, right? And you can be very creative with it, and I think that's what he's good at specifically. But yeah, 100%, he's practiced it. We played it in scrims. Like, it's definitely not just out of nowhere.
Yeah, right. I mean, I definitely agree with you. I think it's going to be an exciting game in the mid lane, regardless of what our expectations are coming into it. The other question I had for you, again, sort of relating to the draft here, was down in bot. We've got the Xerath through for Gun Crab. It was a bit of a surprise for us, you know. What about you? Was this something that you ever thought was going to happen? Did you see the Xerath pick and you knew it was going down to bot?
Yeah, so we had a bit of awareness that the Xerath pick could come through. I think that their comp functionally is a bit strange if it did, so we weren't too concerned. Xerath might be the only champion that does outrange us, but it's also kind of weak into Leona and Trundle, right? It has no escapes, and they're relying on the Thresh Lantern, but Thresh can only lantern one person. So yeah, like either the Syndra or the Xerath is in a lot of trouble. It's hard for Camille to just dive because we have the Trundle ult to just instantly wipe one of the divers as well. So I think that their comp is a bit all over the place. We have really good responses in every position. So we're set ourselves up for a really good win.
Yeah, awesome. And I want to talk to you about the split as a whole. Obviously, you're still gunning for that playoffs position, right? And it kind of feels, in a way, like you're sort of relying on Gravitas to stumble a little bit, because I think they have the head-to-head against yourselves and Peace. You do have the match against Peace next week. So I guess what is the confidence level for you and for the team coming into, well, next week and into the potential playoff spot? Is that definitely still a realistic possibility? You're really gunning for that at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think strength of schedule-wise, we should have the easiest schedule, because like Gravitas has to play against Chiefs and Pentanet, and it doesn't get harder than that, right? So I think the schedule favors us. We still have yet to play Mammoth, and obviously they can upset us, but we should be favored there. For the most part, Peace getting their main roster back together as well does look quite scary, but I think I'm still confident that we can take the last spot.
Yeah, awesome. And a 1-1 so far against the Direwolves this split, so looking forward to seeing how this one pans out. It feels like it's anyone's game series. I think I might leave it there with you. I appreciate, again, the interview, and best of luck in the game.
100%. Cheers, mate.
All right, Juves. Well, an unfortunate start to the game. Looks like we are actually back into the swing of things, so that's great. Quick pause is a good pause as far as I'm concerned. But anything to note out of that coach interview?
Nah, not necessarily. I think it's all pretty diplomatic, right? Sirius does give good interviews, but you know, for the most part, pretty stock standard stuff, and it's been a pretty stock standard early game. Nothing too crazy. Junglers just pathing towards top side. Both actually pathing towards what I would call the most volatile lane in the game, right? The Xerath, the Thresh, the Leona, the Varus wouldn't necessarily be deemed volatile. They should both relatively stay pretty healthy. However, this Jace Camille matchup has the potential to just absolutely blow up.
Only was maybe half a second too late there to contest the blue buff.
This is fightable for Legacy though, but no smite. So only can just smite steal this one away.
Yeah, I think Sybil's recognized that as well. He wants to take the fight straight to only the full collapse onto the jungler of Direwolves will result in first blood for Legacy. It's at a trade, but it's a 2-for-1 overall. And Legacy will be very happy with that. 1 kill going into the back pocket of Winterer and 1 going into the back pocket of Incursio. We talked about it, right? The X factors for Legacy. One of them is off to a good start.
Oh, I thought maybe. But no, I mean, I don't know. Both of these teams, if you said to me in the league which 2 teams are going to lose the game over a...
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And there's a few things I actually want to break down. If you said to me which 2 teams would lose the game over a crab, it'd be Direwolves and Legacy.
What about both crabs?
Well, for some reason, these teams can't let it go. I mean, Only has Flash, so he's fine. What?
Oh, well, TB's coming through. Looks like he wanted to fight. No, he wanted to wait for the Lantern. Good communication from Direwolves. Saves Only's Flash. And it actually forces the TP from Incursio.
Yeah, but the MVPs at level 2, ML had agency to walk up to top crab. I mean, Mans is just unleashed. I mean, ML has just said, yes, well, you know what? Be right back, buddy. Go farm under tower. I'm going to go top crab at level 2. And then I guarantee you, Only and Shock are probably just question mark pinging, like, sub top side, bot gap. Literally, that's how the comms transpired. Like, Leona's here, okay. I mean, it was a lost fight either way, in my opinion, but it just goes to show how willing Legacy are to fight. And sometimes to their, to their own downfall, but in this instance, it's a good fight.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't think Legacy wants to be getting too much done down in the bot side of the map anyway. We'll hold that thought because Claire has found an engage onto Winterer. Double buffs on that Jace. Doesn't really make too much of a difference to the fight. And they're not going to be gifted over to Claire. No transfer. Double buffs on the mid laner of Legacy as well. This doesn't seem very fair.
It's just a permanent recycle. I mean, you're hoping that these buffs just stay in the game forever. Oh, and as I say that.
Yeah. But Asleep connecting. Nice little stun through there from Shock is going to mean that Incursio can't capitalize on it.
And it's a pretty decent CS lead in the mid lane, but that's due to Incursio rotating to that crab fight because Shock had priority and Incursio had to kind of lose a wave under turret to influence that fight. So what you're hoping for is that the damage that's done mid lane is done top side, right? And at the moment, it is kind of going Winterer's way. You know, he's level 6 here. You're just hoping he doesn't get ganked off this wave. He has no flash. He's going in. Trundle is counter ganking though, so this could be a 2v2.
Yeah, Winterer playing very confidently. Walks into the tri-bush. Might have overstepped a little too far. Or Claire down low as well. And it's essentially a 2-on-1. Only trying to turn it back in his favor. Will dive back in, but Winterer survives. How on earth? Claire with the Hextech ultimatum will find the trade, but he himself may drop. No! He grapples out to safety. That feels like a Mechanics Max fight to me.
Yeah, that's so good to watch. We have to get a replay on that one, but Claire, I think, played that to perfection on the back end. And I mean, it was well played across the board. That wasn't the skirmish where you just say, it's so bad, noob, right? That's a skirmish where you say, well played. Yeah, well played. A gentleman's handshake. We appreciate the skirmish there. I thought Winterer was falling down. Gets so low, pops the pot. Claire has to flash out and does such a good job staying alive. And he stays active in this fight. Tactical sweep. Winterer is still alive, but he dings level 6, picks up the kill, then escapes on the back end.
One more auto would have done it from Sybil. Even that's one of those moments where it's like, am I going to die to just a creep or something like that? Or a Scorch Tick or whatever. Anyway, Claire gets out of it, and he's 2-1-0 now, so he's doing well for himself up in that top lane. And like I said, I feel like the Camille can actually get a lot of work done in this game if he gets ahead. Or she, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, he playing it, he the champion.
Bit hard. But either way, player
I think
level
both
6,
work.
quite happy to just keep this wave exactly where it is for now.
This
Try
is
to
where
deny as much from Winter as possible.
Well, this is where the lane gets really volatile because Camille has ultimate, and so even if you have flash as the Jace, you're potentially just dead with the Xin Zhao coming up. So we really need to monitor how Winter plays this lane because he obviously wants to play and push the advantage. Like he has the serrated Dirk as opposed to really just a Sheen for Claire and a little bit of health stats. So in terms of the 1v1, if it's just left in isolation, Winter is going to win that. But of course, League of Legends isn't just a 1v1 lane, even though some laners do believe that's the case.
Yeah, especially given the fact that Claire has teleport right now and Winter has his on cooldown, so he's got the ability to influence the map here. And he's not even going to need the teleport in this instance if the fight does ensue. Like Claire will walk out. Let's give the Crab a little smack, but looks like Legacy has a little bit too much prio here, so I thought only was going to give it up, but he wants it. He's not going to get it. Now Incursio, the spotted ball that luckily does get the sleep onto Shock, so he's able to just walk out.
But again, MLG was first to the rotation. MLG was the first one to cross mid lane, and maybe that's a little bit of the reason why, you know, they didn't pull the trigger on that one as well, because he's just ready and so willing to move. But he might be caught now. He has no boots too. Cupcake does.
Death sentence.
Claire's got prio.
Won't quite live up to its namesake.
And again, we're seeing how this lane kind of plays out, right? Claire's just having to play this lane on less than favorable health, but most of the hover, it might be an ultimate angle.
It is, but Incursio not able to hit the trouble bubble, and ML also not connecting the Zenith Blade, so Legacy are really being put under the pressure in the mid lane right now. This is going to be some plates for sure, or maybe not. Shock and Cupcake backing off. Claire engages the fight, not knowing that Sybil is there, but gets the Hextech ultimatum down, pushes him away, provides enough space for Only to get in. Now has to sort of hover on the edges of this fight looking for something, but you can just see the dance that Direwolves are doing. They're making it work. But Claire decides he's not interested anymore. Now the pillar comes up once again. The fights never seem to end, but both forces walk away with relative safety.
I mean, we can see how volatile this top side of the map is, right? It's just permanent fighting. And I think that might be, I'd have to get a replay, but I think that might be a little bit of a misplay from the side of Legacy. They both had flash, or at least Sybil did have the flash. And I'm thinking if his Trump was up, maybe could have flash Trump Claire for the execute, got the Triumph proc, and potentially just turned that one around onto Only. However, Incursio has done a decent enough job on Hold the Thought. So here, I think that's a really average pillar, if I'm being completely honest. But then Only's here to kind of assist in this trade. There's no subjugate. And then I'm thinking there, like, Honor, unless that's just Spectator, there's no flash up. I've confused myself now. We'll just move on. Didn't happen.
I mean, there's a little bit going on in the main screen as well here. Do see Shot going back to base.
Oh.
Sybil and ML go low. There's a flash through from Claire to secure the kill. Only won't be able to get enough damage. Only with her W on, very, very healthy.
You love to see that. You love to see that, don't you?
The flash.
Yeah, just Zoe just flashing, using all the flashes that were on the floor to pick up the one flash that she's going to keep.
Doesn't actually have flash.
Is this new Trundle tech?
Where?
The build? The two Kindle gems?
Kindle gems? I'm not sure.
I'm genuinely not sure, so I don't wanna flame him. I'll reserve my right to flame at a later date.
I mean, 20 ability haste plus the Boots of Lucidity, which is another 20, so he's got 40 ability haste already off of that. Those pillars are coming up every 15 seconds.
Just a haste build. Mega haste build.
Could be worse, I guess.
Mega pillar build.
Interesting.
I don't think I've seen Pabu do that. But, cool. He's the other Trundle player in the league.
Trying to lose a troll, so you might actually be getting trolled right now.
Maybe.
You'll never know.
This mid lane looks so rough for Incursio, by the way. It seems like he's just never recovered from that early scuttle fight. And whilst his team did get an advantage in jungle and top side, and top lane rather, they haven't really been able to push it. Like Claire at a CS deficit is still having more of an impact on the game than the Jace. Like he's 3-1 and 0. He's got a bounty.
Oh.
So, yeah, I mean, you just get outranged, right? Like can't do anything. Like it's just such a safe lane for Gunkrab. Obviously, team fights, skirmishes, different ball game. But in terms of the 2v2, pretty much just Ziggs all over again. Ziggs 2.0.
Yeah, the worst part is like it's not even a support Xerath or anything like that, is it? It's
No, it
just
hurts.
it's fully fledged carry Xerath with all the damage, and it's not where you want to be. Once he finishes that Luden's off, it's going to be a real problem.
I think Xerath is like low-key a good pick in a lot of games. Not a lot of games, probably a bit of a reach, but you know what I mean. I think Xerath is a good pick in some games. Particularly in this game. There's no real threat, and what's all-in?
I'm not
if he
sure
wants
that Claire's
that.
going to quite get there. He did have the ultimate available, but only maybe just a bit too far away. Spotted on the ward as well. I think Winter might have been out of there okay.
And they might look to dive top here, though. This is probably a really good opportunity and window where they can do that. But Winter has caught on. He's leaving turret, has the flash available, can leave if need be.
Yep. Dodged the W from the Xin Zhao as well, so he'll be out to safety. But does allow the Rift Herald to go down. That's more money in the back pocket of Claire and only.
And so for me, that's kind of unacceptable in the sense that the lead you had early game from the top crab.
Ooh. Curcio.
No flash from
Not quite going to be locked down, but ML Oogie puts the Solar Flare through. They kind of wanted Cupcake. I feel like that was a half-hearted engage, really. And of course, the Flay keeps Cupcake safe. Nice mechanics. Always feels satisfying.
The way I look at this top side is like you should not be down. You should not be down a turret, a Rift Herald, and the rest of it, like and XP. Particularly how this crab skirmish played out. So, I mean, Direwolves have done such a good job to really recover and salvage what was a bit of a shambles start to the game. And now, you know, the Eclipse picked up on Jace. You want to really start seeing him take over, really see him start putting in some work in this side lane, and really, wow, what a jungler.
Nice guy. Oh no!
Now can I? I want to play. I want to play like, and again, I know it's only one ability, and I don't want to be too harsh, but there's 2 or 3 times now where I've seen Incurcio like really undersell his Zoe Q, right, in terms of the timing with the ultimate, and I mean, then you look at how the particular lanes played out, and then you start to ask yourself questions about how comfortable is he actually on Zoe. Right, I know it's not a big deal, right? Like everyone misses skill shots, everyone just kind of goes for max range and it doesn't work out. But I mean, I think it was our first time seeing him play the champ. We're allowed to ask the question, right?
I think it's fair enough, and I think you know maybe it's not even that. Like maybe it's just sometimes you just have that day, right? Where it feels like nothing's really connecting. Maybe that's it, but we'll see what Incurcio can do. You know, he's still definitely a factor.
Cast the curse and he just 1v9s on Zoe, like goes to the Church of Chovy.
It wouldn't have been the first time.
Yeah.
Especially when we're talking about Incurcio. So I can definitely see it panning out favorably for Legacy here. Shirelius is actually popped. He does try to get the bubble onto Shock. Not going to happen this time. Now he's got a locket in the back pocket as well. Always fun to get that extra bit of utility through from the Zoe.
I just don't like seeing the game played like this when you have the Jace. I don't like seeing you eat wave second. Like, yeah, he's got a pretty big CS lead. Like, it's all fine, fantastic. But, I mean, like, if you're talking about the Jace, the Camille scaling, and nothing really happening besides you just eating minion waves, like, you're going to come out second best. Like, my Jace, I like to see threatening turrets, right? Like, really making Claire's time miserable. But Claire's the one that's actually pulling the fights. If we look topside now, Claire's the one that wants them.
Yeah, Winter is going to try and give back as best as he's receiving. Wow. Well done from Claire. So patient. Perfection. Death Sentence has connected onto ML, and there is going to be a follow through from Gunkrab. So exchanges all over the place, and they're all favoring Direwolves.
Dowd's just as good as dead here too. He can't escape. He doesn't have T2 boots, so he's just going to get caught on the rundown. He does have heal, but...
Had heal and flash, but even that's not going to get you out of there.
It just feels like, honestly, it just feels like lane diff at the moment, right? Like they're just laning a lot better. And it really is just generating through Shock. Shock has just had an insurmountable amount of priority in the mid lane. which has allowed Cupcake to roam up with this Xerath pick, going unpunished as well. And you just have like free reign on Summoner's Rift, and most of the fights, if not all, that have been starting have started on Direwolf's terms. And again, I mean, when you get solo bolo top side of the map too in a volatile matchup, it obviously doesn't help.
Definitely not. 4-1-0 now for Claire. Not sure that there's much that Winterer can do to deal with it anymore. Rift Herald is going to be an option for Direwolves, more so I'd say than Legacy, but Direwolves are a little bit slow to the mark. They're still coming out of the base. So Legacy might have found a window here where they can just sneak it away. Only is floating.
This would be a very good fight for Legacy to take if Incursio is able to walk up, because Shock won't be at this play. So if it is contested, it'll be a momentary 4v4 at a minimum. And Claire's just...
Well, does get out of it, but not for too long, I dare say. He's been able to survive courtesy of that Divine Sunderer for a little longer than we expected.
Yep.
Hasn't really helped him out too much, though. It did cancel the
the
Rift Herald
damage.
attempt.
That chunk on Incursio, by the way, is from Gunkrab.
Yeah. Well, that's a Leandries and a needlessly large rod. Starting to get put to good work. I mean, he's also got the Dark Seal in tow, so it's only going to get worse.
I mean, you just lose turret now, and he's dead.
Incursio trying to dodge the artillery fire. Will do a pretty decent job of that. Style cops one.
Ooh, that was a whisker. A whisker away from hitting only. I don't think he would have died, but TP coming from Jace. They obviously want to fight this one. Claire has teleport as well. And I mean, the health bars on Legacy aren't good.
I don't know if that bubble was where it wanted to end up. By the way, now Legacy are in all sorts of trouble. Incursio felt like he was being zoned a little bit, maybe by Only, and couldn't get into that fight, so it ends up being Sybil that just dies for free. And it might be ML as well. There's a sleep. It doesn't matter. Direwolves are winning on all parts of the map.
They're playing into Direwolves' composition. Direwolves' composition doesn't mind a little bit of a skirmy, right? They don't mind throwing hands in the jungle, a little bit of a left-right, a little bit of a good night. However, Legacy's composition really thrives in vision control, vision denial, poke, right? So, you know, think about Zoe, face-checking Zoe, you're going to land so much damage. But every single fight, at least in the one that we just saw, Legacy are just chasing into no vision, and they're split, they're separated. Like, Legacy walked in topside river, you know, Incursio was with Styled, and it's just so disjointed, right? It's just so disjointed and chaotic, and it's really not how you execute with this draft.
Well, Legacy going to have to do something about it pretty quick smart. At the moment, not a whole lot to contest. I mean, they're not in the worst of positions, right? The Dragon threat isn't really there. It's just the gold deficit that's the problem.
Yeah, gold deficit is a pretty big problem. 4k down with like a poke composition, right? Lethality, Varus, Zoe, Jace is never a good sign, right? These champions really do have a good time in the mid game, really have a good time in the early game. So it's going to be a rough one. And you know, the one thing we know about Legacy is they're still going to look for fights, right? As we see here.
The bubble. Oh, it's going to make life a little bit tough for Cupcake, who actually ends up copying the Solar Flare as well. Only looking for an angle to recontest the fight, but won't be able to. Trelia's popped. Funnily enough, that's by Sybil, not by ML. That's an interesting item buy for Sybil.
And that's a good pick, but what does it get you? Because you got a kill, fantastic, but what do you lose? Because Claire on this turret with Divine Sunderer is going to do so much work. And like, you may not even get this mid turret. There's just too much wave clear.
Yeah, Claire's having a grand old time down in bot, isn't he?
Yeah, and I mean, it's not going to get any better in the side lane. Like, Claire's probably going to go home here and actually pick up a Death Dance, which is going to just be so much better for him in the 1v1 as well. He's really just committed to this lane matchup against the Jace.
Big damage coming down onto Sybil as well. I mean, again, you know, touching on that item, it's not providing him the tanky stats that you might normally get on a Trundle.
No.
So he's really copying a lot of damage through from Gunkrab, from Shock. I mean, from anyone really that gets on him, but it feels more impactful when it's coming from those two AP champions that are able to poke him down before the fight even starts.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that when you pick Trundle jungle, you know, you want to be alive. Like you wanna be in a team fight for as long as possible, especially with the way that Subjugate works, right? But you know, with this build, you move a little bit faster. You know, you bring your team with you, but it doesn't feel that it is the most optimal route to survivability, to being able to sit in front of your carries. Like we're just seeing how quickly he's getting melted, and you know, only who's playing the Xin Zhao seems a lot tankier than the Trundle, and he's actually got a damage item himself. So, you know, I'd have to say if maybe a little bit of an itemization error, especially with the lead that you had top side of the map.
He's gone into Redemption as well, so
Yeah,
he's really
full
going all in
support.
on this support Trundle.
I mean, at this point, if I'm being completely honest, at this point, if this is the route you want to go, I genuinely believe you should pick Ivan.
Yeah, I mean, he does a lot of the same things, doesn't he?
It's literally like you're just building Ivan items, and you have way more of a teamfight presence, disengaged presence, and like you can play it with the comp that you have. Yeah, I don't think, you know, Ivan's the best champ in the game. I definitely think there's comps you can draft Ivan in. But I mean, like, I'm not seeing what I would want to be seeing from a Trundle anyway, right? So I guess yeah. I mean, that's where my mind's at.
All right, well, we'll see how it pans out here for Civil. Maybe the Redemption can make a difference. We do have the Horizon Focus finished off for Incursio as well, so his damage is starting to, you know, build up quite nicely. On the other side, it's actually gone straight into a Rabadon's Death Cap after the Luden's Tempest for Shock, which is just like, okay, I'm going to blow you up. That's the I'm going to blow you up build. The only thing it's missing is Sword Boots instead of Merc Treads here, but still, he's doing damage. So too is Incursio, let's be real. That was a decent chunk.
Well, this is where Legacy's comp actually
That was Winter, actually, I think.
Yeah, Winter it was. This is where Legacy's comp actually thrives, when they can get all the members in the mid lane like this.
Yeah, that's what it's for. I mean, that's where the pillar comes up, but then instantly Winter just gets deleted. Steps up a little too far. ML caught out on the flank as well, and once the fight goes bad, once it turns sour for Legacy, it starts to become really, really rough, because Claire and Only are so sticky in these fights. Not to mention they've got a Thresh there as well that can just keep throwing those hooks out. That, unless it's going perfectly for Legacy, I don't know that there's much of a fight in there, unfortunately.
I'm actually a firm believer that, and I'll hold the thought, because we may even just see an engage.
Yeah, Only straight over the wall, looks for the knock-up, and that is, again, a very squishy Trundle. He's going to get the pillar back up, but to no avail. Claire is hanging around quite close by, spotted out by the control ward.
Zibu's running at him with no subjugate. I don't even know if he wants to run at him there, but the thing I wanted to say is, like, I'm a firm believer that poke comps are very hard to play because they're the most high risk. Like, they're high risk but high reward, right? If you ever... Killer?
Oh, Gun Crab will be saved.
It's a big ultimate down though. Solar Flare down. Now Gun Crab just walks back up.
Yeah, starts chucking out those skill shots already. Styled down to half HP, but so is Gun Crab, even less maybe. Cupcake's caught out here. Is he? He's got his Xin Zhao nearby. I think this is going to go fine for Direwolves. Cupcake inside of the Zhonya's, hits a very nice death sentence onto ML. And here comes Claire right into the back line, puts the ulti down on top of Sybil, which means that he's dead. Direwolves will run away with things once again. The turn back onto Claire. It's not going to be enough to really cause any problems, and Shock, he won't miss. 4-0 and 7. He definitely isn't capping.
No capping. And a little bit of a gapping, if I don't mind, if you don't mind. I mean, it's just a really good performance from Direwolves. They're causing chaos in a game where Legacy don't want chaos, right? They want to be able to set up in a side, in a mid lane, in whatever lane, and just throw skill shots and take turrets. But I mean, Direwolves are just really disengaging when there's 5 members of Legacy extremely well, and then they're re-engaging when they get a little bit split, or they feel the need to answer Claire in the side lane. And it's just a very good use of the 4-1 from Direwolves. And I mean, just look here, right? They're forcing chaos. Like, look how split this is with a poke comp. There's no front line anywhere. There's no poke going out. It's just we will take this skirmish and see what we can do. But look at the collapse. Direwolves from 4 angles in this skirmish. I mean, it's so hard to play when you have no health, no front line, no nothing, not enough damage. Yeah. The cleanup crew.
Indeed. It's not the end of the road just yet for Legacy. They are one of those teams that can pull out a little bit of magic here and there, and let's see if they can get it. This could be an angle for Sybil. Very nice pillar, but an even better Dark Passage gets Gunkrab out for the moment. The box goes down. No one can push through that, and Gunkrab will just lay down artillery fire. ML doing his best to cancel the ultimate in the backline, while Direwolves goes forward onto his own backline, and Curcio blown up. So is Styled. There's no one there to defend them, and Direwolves handily win a team fight.
Handily win a team fight. I mean, that's, again, I feel like I'm harping on the same point over and over again, but it's such a good disengage. Like, that's the aim of the game. Like, it's a disengage. They're just grouping 5 members, trying to poke, trying to get an engage off, disengaged, and then re-engage when the boys get there, when the members get there. And, I mean, off the back end, that's a lot of damage from the Xin Zhao, if I'm being brutally honest. I mean, 4k DPS there.
Well, he was just able to get in on top of the backline, right? Wasn't he? Like, ML forcing himself forward. Just watching the replay here. He tries to cancel the Xerath ultimate, and that leaves Trundle to peel for the backline.
I mean, I don't want to harp on the way that Legacy are playing the competition out, but it really just feels like that. It feels like Legacy have drafted a comp that really requires discipline and to sit in a lane and not fight here. Again, like, your comp just wants to siege turrets, but have you seen them siege a turret this game?
Very briefly for about a minute in mid lane, and then Winter got blown up.
Yeah, and I mean, and that was like already at a 4k deficit, right?
Yeah.
Can't fall behind with these comps, and I mean, yeah.
Look how confident Claire is, right in on top of Winterer there, but Sybil arrives to save the day. Claire will just reset. Has no teleport though, so he won't be able to get to this fight. Not that it is really required. I think at this point, Direwolves can do it 4v5.
It's just a rough game, because with the Baron buff, with the gold lead, you start to wonder, how do they come back into this game, right? 3-level lead in the jungle now as well. I mean, Claire level 16. All Direwolves need to do is just dance. Literally just, I don't know, hire a DJ, set up a tent, topside, have a little bit of a party. What's the Australian dance called? Is it the Nut Bush? What's that one?
Yeah.
Is that it?
I mean, I don't know if I would say that's an Australian dance, is it? But
Is it not Australian?
I know a lot of people in Australia do it. I don't know if it is Australian.
It's got to be.
But I know what you're talking about.
It's got to be an Australian dance.
Melbourne Shuffle is.
I mean, Nutbush is a way better dance. Come on, man. We've all been 10 years old at an event, at a hall somewhere, doing the Nutbush.
Yeah, definitely. Disco back in grade 7. Oh, man.
I'm actually going to YouTube that after
I
the
bet
broadcast.
Juice was the sickest on the dance floor.
Yes. That's a story for off broadcast. I'll explain.
Ordinarily, that would be a really nice bubble, but there's just too much money for Direwolves and too much counter-engage as well. The artillery barrage, look at the damage from Xerath! That is unreal. That is 2 ultimates. Just down onto Style from the Xerath, and he's pretty much dead. Claire into the back line here as well. I mean, this is the end for Legacy. It's been a very, very long and painful game for them, but I think Direwolves might finally be putting it to rest.
I think that's it. Elfish, I was going to call you Skimmy because I was just being conditioned to Skimmy for so long. It's good to have a break, though.
Yeah.
Flash Hook.
Yeah, I mean, you just show off a few of the mechanics here for Cupcake. We talked about his Bard. Well, not this split, but you got to remember we were talking a lot about his Thresh last split, and this is definitely a comfort champion for him. He's had a great time. So is the rest of Direwolves, and at this point, they're just padding the stats a little bit as the Nexus falls 24-5 in terms of kills, 62,000 gold. There's something like 45k for Legacy, and overall, a really commanding victory for the Direwolves.
Oh, wow. That's quality, no?
Yeah, I feel like the victory celebrations are being upped more and more, especially when they're against Legacy. I think it's probably Winterer, the Winterer effect. You know, he goes a bit crazy, and now everyone else is starting to follow suit.
He defo started it. He defo started the win streak, or the win celebration.
All right. I know a man that has a great victory celebration, and we're going to get to see it right now. Mac, what have you got for us?
Woo! Yes, the boys! Come on, get in there! Beautiful! Hey, is that all right?
Do you want to fix your banner?
Yeah, I didn't notice, Jordan. Look, I haven't had my single all night, all right? And I think I've hit that. I think I actually knocked my camera. You know when I was banging my desk in rage earlier? I think it probably, fiddled with it. Anyway, we'll fix that up later. It's fine. I did jam my finger during the break, so that
Oh,
really
wow.
hurt,
Where'd
and
you
I
do
yelled
that?
really
What kind
loud.
of jam did you put on it?
No, I slammed it in the door while I was getting a bloody fork. Anyway, other than that, I did watch most of the game, and Direwolves looked pretty damn good. Legacy, yes, there was a few times when things went their way, but it wasn't very often. And as you guys mentioned towards the end of the cast there, they have a specific comp to play in a specific way, and they didn't play it in that specific way. So it made winning extremely hard for them, and Direwolves did what they needed to do. And, you know, that Xerath as well. I was just watching Gunkrab. Look, he doesn't even need health to have any impact in these fights. He just sits so far away and just pokes and pokes and pokes. And I'm actually interested to see on the damage graph at the end how much work he actually did in these team fights, because he just seemed to be able to be so far away, just sniping in huge amounts of damage. And, you know, that's the Xerath that we don't get to see very often here in the LCO. But today we did, and it worked out wonderfully for Direwolves.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a very good game from Direwolves, and what I like to see, and, you know, maybe not everyone likes it, but they played through a little adversity. You know, they had a bit of a rocky start, top side of the map, and Claire was able to pull it back, only was able to get himself back into the game, and across the board, it was just a good team performance where, you know, as you can see through the damage, like, everyone did a little bit of the heavy lifting.
Now, I need to point out, Jace, 24.8k damage. That is huge coming out from Winterer. Unfortunately, he was really the only one that looked like he was doing a lot of damage if you look at the rest of the players there. However, obviously, 24.8k is extremely inflated over the others, so it makes those bars look extremely small, you know, in comparison. So we won't go saying too much on that. However, Direwolves with another W, and now that equals them. No, it doesn't. I was going to say it equals them with Chiefs. Well, it does for a minute.
For
and
now.
Then we don't know what's going to happen in that final game of the evening. So I'm sure Direwolves are going to be extremely happy with this situation they found themselves in.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I don't think they can complain about it at all. If you're Legacy, now you're starting to get a little bit concerned, right? Because Peace have won their match earlier on today. You've lost yours. Peace now overtake you. You have that match against Peace later on next week, so the option is there to still sort of turn the tables on them, but then you're waiting for Gravitas. There's a lot to think about here if you're Legacy, and that loss might be what puts them out of the playoffs, unfortunately.
Yes, that is very, very true. A must-win game, not one. Although, if we did have something we wanted to have a look at, it is the player that delivered. And yes, do you want to have guesses, or do you guys know?
Oh, no.
Do you want to have a
came
guess?
up anyway, so I
Jules, do you want to have a guess? Guess.
Wait, is that not the best photo that you've ever seen?
Hello?
Like, ever seen?
Is that you, Banana?
No, the fact that he bought a prop for photo shoot day, and maybe it wasn't a prop, maybe he just bring it as a snack, but I'm going to call it a prop. That's fantastic.
Do you think he brought that, or maybe it was already at the place where the photo shoot was happening and he picked it up and said, hey, this is perfect for a phone?
I know what he did.
What did he do?
He DoorDashed it.
Oh!
You guys just, like, what are you doing? You're just trolling. He literally just
True.
DoorDashed it. He thought, I need something for my photo. I'm just going to DoorDash a banana. Makes
I
sense.
actually got confirmation from someone, actually, not the producer, from the big boss. I don't even know if it's the big boss. It's the big boss? Anyway, he said he came with the banana. He came with the banana knowing that he was going to take that photo. If anything, he delivered again. Give him the player that delivered next week, because he's delivering fruit to the boys in times of need.
Man, and he's absolutely
Low GI.
jacked on the potassium as well. Completely crazy. Now, we do have to bring Nat back into the conversation. Nat, what are your thoughts on banana phones?
I love that photo, but also I thought your segue there was going to be like, you know what else is crazy? And then you're going to bring me in. And I was almost offended for a second, but you didn't. Instead, you asked me about banana phones, which is probably just as crazy.
Well, I'll write that one down and I'll use it next time just to annoy you a little bit. Anyway, who do you have for the post-game?
I'm going to be joined by Only in the post-game interview. Thank you so much for joining me, Only. Congratulations on the win. How are you and the boys feeling after that one?
Thank you. I'm feeling good. Shout out to Gunkrab, man. He actually smurfed that really hard. So I don't know if anyone can like fact check it while we're doing this interview, but is that his first MVP? I'm not sure. It might be his first MVP.
Definitely. Yeah, it is. It is his first player that delivered ever. So
yeah,
look,
awesome. I'm
you
proud
said
of
it.
him.
He popped off.
Yep. And he did it on a non-ADC champion. He picked Xerath on the clock CS. Shout out to Gunkrab, man. That's deserved. Awesome.
Absolutely. In the pre-game interview, I did talk to him a little bit, and he said that he was playing a few champs that he wasn't overly comfortable with. Do you think this draft worked out a lot better and was a lot more comfortable for you guys in that sense?
Yeah, I don't know if the Xerath is like as well. A lot of us had comfort picks. I mean, we're on Camille's and Zhao, Syndra, I think mid lane. Syndra, yeah. So we're like, I'm actually pretty happy because we are on comfort picks, and we're also like not showing anything because the champs that we like to play are just always left open. So I feel like we haven't really even showed what we have because we're just picking the same champs pretty much every game with like a couple changes in maybe like 1 or 2 roles. But yeah, I was happy with how the draft played out. It was super comfortable. And obviously Gungrab smurfed on his random pick today. So yeah, awesome.
For sure, love to see it. But with what you said there, does that mean there is, I guess, a lot of things in the back pocket when it comes to champ pool for you guys? I'm very curious.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not going to tell you what they are, obviously, but we've got stuff in the bag. For sure, thinking about playoffs from here. I mean, I think we're already secured, right? Secured 4th or potentially 3rd, whatever. We're secured for playoffs. So definitely some picks in the bag. And yeah, it just depends on other teams if we'll show them or not, I guess, if they're going to not ban the stuff we keep winning on. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me very excited. I'm looking forward to playoffs then from you guys. But before we get there, I want to talk about this game a little bit more. You say you were on comfort picks, but that early game, I would say it's definitely not the strongest early game we've seen from you guys. I want to know what was going through your head and why you think it went the way that it did.
Yeah, I mean, I had Blabber syndrome. We knew Leona was like rotating up, and it's really hard not to just all in on a crab. Like, it's something I'm actually struggling with. There have been, like in previous years, I've been willing to blow my flash for a crab. And that game was just me inting on a crab, basically. So my bad, team. Sorry, guys. I think they just wanted to farm in lanes and not fight that crab, but I for sure forced that one. So yeah. Classic only ints on a scuttle crab. That's all I have to say.
All comes down to the crab diff. The last question though, before I do let you go is, what do you think was the turnaround play for you guys, or the point that you knew that this game was going to be yours to win?
I mean, we had some big team fights, but I would just say mainly when Xerath just didn't die. Like, they kept sending 5. They pretty much sent their whole team mid multiple times, and Gungrab just collected all the minions. Like, he never actually got fully pressured off the mid lane turret, so they invested like these huge moves mid. We still got like perfect CS on Xerath. Like, I would say they were pretty doomed after the mid game. That was like perfect for us.
Awesome. Well, look, you guys got that win pretty convincingly, I'd say. Congratulations, and thank you so much for joining me, Only.
Cheers. Appreciate it.
Look, as a man who has definitely entered a few games for some scuttle crabs, I can say I feel that one. Look, it's fun. You know, it's like, hey, I'm either going to win this fight and we're going to have a huge lead, or I'm going to lose this fight. But my teammates aren't going to rotate and help me because they're like, what are you doing, you idiot? And then everyone just goes, oh, jungle diff from 2 minutes into the game. And you just have to cop that, which is really annoying. So you just be your teammates and you just go, look, it was fun, and hopefully I can int on the next crab too, just to spite my teammates. Anyway, we do have one more game to get to. That, of course, is going to be Gravitas and Chiefs, which is the final game of the night. And I'm not going to keep you waiting. We have one more break to get past to get to that game, so I'll see you just after this.
Dark Passage gets Guncrab out for the moment. The box goes down. No one can push through that, and Guncrab will just lay down artillery fire. ML doing his best to cancel the ultimate in the back line, while Direwolves goes forward onto his own back line, and Curcio blown up. Ordinarily, that would be a really nice bubble, but there's just too much money for Direwolves and too much counter-engage as well.
Straightforward. Okay. Carbon.
He's old, man. He's got years of experience.
He's old, man. How is he going to do it?
Hey, he's played against Juice before. He knows how he moves. You know?
Have you seen his hair?
His bones
You
are
think he can
broken.
move?
Oh, shit. Can't even control his hair. You're right.
You gotta respect the elderly.
Wait, we're gonna get fired.
Me.
You.
Of course. You
You're
guys
right.
aren't
That is a
funny.
very good joke. You're right.
So, you guys suck.
think
None of
I-
you are funny.
Everyone's really funny.
No, you
person.
make some really good jokes. I mean, like, probably shouldn't make them like an LCO check to make it like banned, but they're good. They're good jokes.
True.